It all started innocently enough, or at least that's what I told myself. A lazy Friday evening in our cramped city apartment. The kind where the street noise filters in through the cracked window and the fridge hums like it's judging our life choices. Me and Tyler just hanging out like we always did. Takeout boxes scattered on the coffee table. Pad thai for me, extra spicy wings for him, and some old rock playlist blasting from his phone. Tyler wasn't just my roommate. He was this enigma wrapped in muscle and mystery. Tall and lean like a swimmer who'd spent too many hours in the gym, with a sleeve of intricate tattoos snaking up his left arm, symbols from his travels or some forgotten phase of rebellion. He was always lounging around in nothing but sweatpants, his chest bare and sculpted, oblivious to the chaos he stirred in me every time he stretched or laughed. God, that laugh. Deep and rumbling like thunder rolling in from a distance. He'd saunter into the kitchen, grab a beer, and flash that crooked smile that made my brain short-circuit. The worst part? He had no clue. Or maybe he did, and he played it off like a pro. We'd been sharing this place for 6 months now, ever since I answered his ad on some sketchy roommate app. Easygoing guy seeks same, it said. Easygoing, my ass! Living with him was like dancing on the edge of a cliff. Thrilling, terrifying, and one wrong step away from freefall. That night, it was business as usual. I was sprawled on the couch, mindlessly swiping through my phone, memes, and news blending into a blur. Tyler was across from me in the armchair, feet kicked up, scrolling his own feed. Out of nowhere, he lobbed a crumpled napkin at me, hitting me square in the forehead. "Wake up, man," he teased, his voice laced with that playful edge. I shot him a glare, but couldn't hide the grin. I balled it up and flung it back harder. He dodged, laughing, and before I knew it, he was lunging over the coffee table like some overgrown puppy. We tumbled into a mock wrestle, limbs tangling in a mess of elbows and knees. It was stupid, childish even, 2 grown men roughhousing like we were back in high school. But Tyler was stronger, always had been. He pinned me down in seconds, his body straddling mine, knees bracketing my hips. His hands gripped my shoulders, holding me in place as we both panted from the exertion. For a heartbeat, it was still fun. Just bros being idiots. Then everything shifted. His laughter faded, replaced by a heavy silence. I felt it before I saw it, the way his body tensed, the subtle press of his weight against me. His breath, hot and ragged, ghosted over my face. He didn't pull away. Neither did I. Our eyes locked, and in that frozen moment the air thickened with something unspoken, something electric. I could feel every inch of him, the firmness of his thighs against mine, the rise and fall of his chest brushing my own, and yeah, there it was, that unmistakable hardness grinding into my hip, insistent and impossible to ignore. It wasn't a fluke, not some accidental brush from the tussle. This was deliberate, raw. Tyler's eyes searched mine, wide with a mix of shock and curiosity, like he was testing the waters, waiting for me to freak out or shove him off. But I didn't. My heart slammed against my ribs, loud enough to echo in my ears. I stared back, my body betraying me with a heat that pooled low in my stomach. His grip on my shoulders loosened, fingers trailing down my arms almost tentatively. Still, he didn't move. The room felt smaller, the music fading into white noise. "You okay?" he murmured, voice low and rough, barely above a whisper. It wasn't a real question. It was an out, a way for us to laugh this off and pretend it never happened. I swallowed hard, my mouth dry. "Yeah," I managed, but it came out breathier than I intended. "You?" He didn't answer. Instead, his gaze dropped to my lips, then back up. The tension coiled tighter, a live wire humming between us. I shifted slightly under him, and his breath hitched, a sharp, involuntary sound that sent a jolt through me. He was hard, fully now, and the friction made my head spin. "Alex," he said my name like a question, like a plea. "Don't," I whispered, echoing some half-formed thought. "Don't stop. Don't get up. Don't ruin this." He blinked, confusion flickering across his face. But he must have read it in my eyes because he didn't budge. His forehead rested against mine, a feather-light touch that set my skin on fire. We stayed like that, suspended in time, bodies aligned in a way that felt both foreign and inevitable. The scent of him, sweat mixed with that faint cologne he always wore, filled my senses. I wanted to close the distance, to taste the salt on his skin, but fear held me back. What if this shattered everything? Our friendship, our easy routine? Finally, he eased off me, rolling to the side with a slow, reluctant motion. The couch creaked under us as he sat up, running a hand through his messy dark hair. He wouldn't meet my eyes at first, staring at the floor like it held all the answers. "Sorry," he muttered, but it lacked conviction. "That was weird." I sat up too, my body still buzzing from the contact. "Was it?" I challenged, my voice steadier than I felt. He turned then, his expression raw, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen from him. Tyler, the confident guy who flirted with everyone at parties, looked almost scared. "Why didn't you push me away?" he asked, echoing the question burning in my mind. "Because I've wanted this for months. Because every time you walk around shirtless, I have to look away. Because sharing this space with you has been torture and bliss rolled into one." But I didn't say that, not yet. "I didn't want to," I admitted simply, the truth hanging heavy in the air. He stared at me, processing. No jokes, no deflection. Just us in the dim light of the living room lamp. The silence stretched, thick with possibility. Then quietly he said, "Can I crash in your room tonight?" "No bullshit, just, I don't want to be alone right now." My pulse spiked. He wasn't asking for the couch or the spare blanket. He meant my bed, my space, no walls between us. I nodded, words failing me. We stood the short walk down the hall feeling like miles. My room was a mess. Clothes on the floor, books piled on the nightstand, but none of that mattered. Tyler hesitated at the door, then stepped in, peeling off his shirt like it was the most natural thing. I watched, unashamed now, taking in the play of muscles across his back, the ink curling over his shoulders. He turned, catching my gaze, and something shifted in his eyes. Heat mixed with uncertainty. He sat on the edge of the bed in just his boxers, the fabric tented slightly, a silent admission. I slid in beside him, the mattress dipping under our combined weight. We lay there side by side, staring at the ceiling. The city sounds drifted in, distant sirens, a car horn, but inside it was just our breathing, syncing up without effort. His pinky brushed mine first, a tentative touch that sent sparks up my arm. Then his hand covered mine fully, fingers interlacing. "This okay?" he whispered, voice cracking on the edges. "Yeah," I breathed, turning my head to look at him. In the moonlight filtering through the blinds, his features were softened, almost ethereal. "More than okay?" He squeezed my hand, exhaling shakily. "I've been thinking about this. About you. For a while now. Tried to ignore it, but fuck, Alex, you're everywhere. In my head, in this apartment. Can't escape it." My chest ached at his confession, mirroring my own buried feelings. "Me too," I admitted, the words tumbling out. "Every damn day. Watching you, wanting more than just roommates." He shifted closer, his leg draping over mine, bodies aligning. That hardness from earlier returned, pressing against my thigh, warm and insistent. "Feel that?" he murmured, a hint of playfulness creeping in despite the intensity. I nodded, my free hand trailing up his arm, tracing the tattoos. "Yeah, it's a lot." He chuckled softly, but his eyes were serious. "Too much." "Not even close," I replied, smirking. "I want it. All of it. We didn't kiss then." Instead, he pulled me into his chest, his arms wrapping around me like a shield. His face nuzzled into my neck, breath warm against my skin. I held him back, our bodies molding together under the covers. No rush, no expectations, just the quiet thrill of finally acknowledging what had been simmering. Sleep came in fits, my mind racing with what-ifs, but his presence grounded me. For the first time, the apartment felt like home. Racing with what-ifs, but his presence grounded me. For the first time, the apartment felt like home. Morning light seeped in, painting the room in soft golds. Tyler was still there, his arm slung over my waist, holding me close. His breathing was even, peaceful. I lay awake, replaying the night, wondering if regret would hit like a freight train. But it didn't. If anything, I felt freer. He stirred, his hand flexing against my stomach. "Mornin'," he mumbled, voice gravelly with sleep. His eyes cracked open, meeting mine with a sleepy smile. "You didn't kick me out." "Wouldn't dream of it," I whispered, turning to face him fully. Our faces were inches apart, morning breath and all, but it didn't matter. He searched my expression, vulnerability flickering. "Last night? That wasn't just a one-off for you, right? Some heat of the moment thing?" I shook my head, my hand cupping his jaw, feeling the stubble under my palm. "No, I've wanted this, you, for longer than I care to admit. Fighting it every day." Relief washed over his features, and he leaned in, closing the gap. Our lips met softly at first, tentative, like testing fragile glass. But then it deepened, his hand sliding under my shirt to trace my spine, pulling me flush against him. Fire ignited in my veins, every nerve ending alive. He tasted like mint from last night's gum, smelled like sleep and desire. "Still want this?" he asked between kisses, his voice husky. "More than anything." I gasped as his lips trailed to my neck, nipping gently. He rolled us, his body covering mine, weight a delicious pressure. My hands explored him freely now, down his back, over his ass, pulling him closer. He groaned, the sound vibrating through me. Clothes came off in a tangle, shirts tossed aside, boxers kicked to the floor. Skin on skin, we moved together, slow and deliberate. His hands mapped my body with reverence, fingers tracing ribs, hips, thighs. "You're beautiful," he whispered, eyes dark with want. Never thought I'd get to say that. I arched into his touch, my own hands gripping his shoulders. He was big, everywhere, and the friction built a sweet ache. We took our time, learning each other, kisses turning fervent, bodies grinding in rhythm. When he finally pressed inside, it was with care, his forehead against mine, breaths mingling. "Okay?" He checked, voice strained. "Perfect," I assured, wrapping my legs around him. It wasn't just physical. It was emotional, a release of pent-up longing. He held me through it all, whispering praises, his gaze never leaving mine. Afterward, we lay entangled, sweat slick and sated, his head on my chest. "This changes everything," he said softly, tracing patterns on my arm. "For the better," I replied, kissing his temple. And in that quiet morning, with the world waking outside, we weren't just roommates anymore. We were us, raw, real, and finally free. I brushed his cheek with my fingers. "You're doing just fine. Just stay with me." He kissed me again, deeper this time, his lips parting mine with a hunger that sent sparks through my veins. But then something shifted. He stopped moving, his forehead pressed to mine, his breathing uneven, his body heavy against me, but suddenly distant. "You okay?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He nodded, but I could see the lie in his eyes. "Alex?" I prompted gently. He rolled onto his side, but he didn't pull away entirely. His legs stayed tangled with mine, his hand still resting over my chest, fingers splayed like he was afraid to let go. "I've never done this," he admitted softly, his voice cracking just a little. I tilted my head, waiting for him to elaborate. He meant more than just the physical act. I could feel it in the way his words hung in the air. "Not just, with a guy. Emotionally. With someone I've always wanted to be with like this. He trailed off, his gaze fixed on the ceiling, shadows playing across his face from the dim lamp on the nightstand. I stayed silent, giving him space. His chest rose and fell unevenly. "I pushed it down for so long," he continued after a moment. "Pretended it wasn't real. Dated girls, partied, slept around to prove to myself I was normal. But this, it's not just sex, and that terrifies me more than anything." My throat tightened, a mix of empathy and affection swelling in my chest. I turned to face him fully, grabbing his hand and holding it tight, our fingers interlacing. "I'm not just looking for sex either," I said, my voice steady despite the emotions churning inside. "I want you to want me like this, like now. Like it matters. His jaw clenched and he swallowed hard. I do, he whispered. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was thick, heavy, real, like we'd crossed some invisible line together, and neither of us wanted to turn back. He looked at me again, his expression different this time. Softer, steadier, more sure. Without a word, he pulled me close, wrapping an arm around my waist and drawing me into his chest. He spooned me from behind, and for the first time all night I felt him truly relax. His hand slid under the blanket, resting warmly against my stomach, his fingers tracing lazy circles on my skin. Slow, patient, warm, he murmured, kissing the back of my neck, his breath hot and reassuring. You feel incredible, I exhaled, my body loosening into his, melting against the solid warmth of him. I've never wanted anyone like this, he added, his voice low and raw. Those words did something to me, made my breath catch, my heart ache, my whole body feel like it was burning from the inside out because I felt it too. He pressed against me fully, skin to skin, that familiar pressure returning, thick, warm, impossible to ignore. But there was no showmanship this time, no performance. He was just there, real, vulnerable, wanting. I didn't pull away. I didn't tense. I let him stay firm and honest against me. I wanted it, all of it. He kissed the top of my shoulder and held me tighter, his arm like a protective band around me. Then, in the dark, with his lips near my ear, he whispered the words that flipped everything inside me. I think I've been in love with you since the day we met at that coffee shop interview for the apartment. I closed my eyes. The room stilled like time froze around us, I whispered back, finally stopping the fight. Me too, Alex, me too. I woke to the feeling of him breathing on my neck, still there, still in my bed, still wrapped around me like we belonged that way. His arm lay heavy and warm across my stomach, his thigh draped over mine, pinning me gently in place. The weight of his chest pressed against my back like a promise, steady and unyielding. It wasn't the sunlight filtering through the curtains that woke me. It was him, still holding me, still real after everything we'd shared. For a second, I didn't move. I just listened to the rhythm of his breath. Slow, deep, safe. His fingers shifted on my shirt in his sleep, clutching lightly, not wanting to let go even in his dreams. Like even subconscious, he knew I was his. I turned my head slightly, my voice a soft whisper. Alex. He stirred behind me, his voice thick with sleep, gravelly and endearing. Ryan, you're still here. He pulled me closer, his lips brushing the back of my shoulder, sending a shiver down my spine. Not going anywhere, I murmured. My throat caught, not because of the words themselves, but the way he said them, quiet, sure, like he meant them with every fiber of his being. Maybe I needed that more than I realized. After years of fleeting connections and guarded hearts, we lay there for a long time, no rush, no panic, just skin on skin, hearts trying to sink in the quiet morning light. The city sounds outside, distant traffic, birds chirping, felt worlds away. Then he shifted, gently rolling me onto my back, his eyes half-lidded with sleep, hair tousled in that effortlessly sexy way. His body hovered above mine again, familiar now but no less intense, his warmth enveloping me. I meant what I said last night, he whispered, his gaze locking onto mine. I know, I answered, reaching up to trace the line of his jaw. I'm still scared, though. I know that too, he replied, a small smile tugging at his lips. He leaned down, kissing my chest slow and deliberate, his lips lingering on my skin before he rested his cheek there for a moment, listening to my heartbeat. I've never told anyone how I feel before. Not like this. Not with this much everything. You don't have to tell anyone else, I whispered, running my fingers through his hair. Just don't stop telling me. He looked up, raw and vulnerable, his eyes bright with unshed emotion. I used to think love had to be hidden, like it was a weakness or something to be ashamed of. But being with you... He paused, searching for the right words, his hand trailing up my side. It feels like the only thing that makes me stronger. Like I can face anything if you're here. My eyes burned with tears. I blinked back. Nobody had ever said that to me. Nobody had ever made me feel like my touch or my love could heal someone, could be their anchor. Right then, I felt it, like I was his safe place, his harbor in the storm of his past denials. He kissed me again. This time it wasn't careful or tentative. It was slow, yes, but full of wanting. A hunger for everything he'd buried inside himself for years. Feelings for men, for me specifically, that he'd fought against since college. His hand slid down my side, gripping my hip, pulling me closer until there was no space between us. He was hard, again pressing into me like gravity, his arousal evident and unapologetic. But it wasn't only sexual. It was a deep, aching need that said, I need all of you, not just your body. I need to be inside your world, your life. I let him be close. I let him press against me, grind slow and deliberate, our bodies moving in a rhythm that felt natural, inevitable. I let him feel how I responded, how my breath caught in my throat, how I held him tighter, arching into him. How I wanted this fully awake, fully sober, and fully mine. You feel that? He whispered, his forehead against mine, sweat beading on his brow. Yeah, I breathed, my hands roaming his back, feeling the muscles tense and release under my touch. You okay with this? He asked, his voice husky, eyes searching mine for any hesitation. I nodded, pulling him down for another kiss. I want you here like this. Just don't pull away. He didn't. He stayed, rocking gently, kissing me like I was the only thing that existed in his universe, whispering my name like it was a prayer. Ryan. God, Ryan. I didn't just let him inside my room that night. I let him inside my heart. That scared me more than anything because if he left, I wouldn't just miss his touch. I'd miss the way he looked at me like I was worth staying for, like I was the missing piece he'd been searching for without knowing it. But he didn't leave. Not that morning. We lingered in bed, talking in low voices about nothing and everything. Our shared apartment, the messy kitchen we'd ignored last night, the way we danced around each other for months since he moved in after his breakup. Not when we finally got out of bed, limbs tangled and reluctant. Not when we drank coffee in the same rumpled clothes we'd fallen asleep in, sitting at the small table by the window, his foot hooked around mine under it. He didn't flinch, hide, or run. He kept looking at me like he was still discovering me, liking every part he found, the way I laughed at his bad jokes, the freckles on my shoulders he'd traced with his fingers, the scar on my knee from a childhood bike accident that he asked about with genuine curiosity. We didn't label it that day. We didn't announce it to the world. But I knew he was mine and I was his. It was in the small things, the way he stole glances across the room, the brush of his hand on my lower back as he passed me in the hallway, the shared smiles that said more than words ever could. 5 days passed like that, 5 nights in my bed, wrapped in each other's arms, exploring not just bodies but souls. 5 mornings of soft kisses and sleepy smiles, where he'd wake me with coffee in hand or a gentle nuzzle against my neck. 5 quiet days that felt like we were suspended in something too delicate to name, a bubble of intimacy in our cramped city apartment. We still hadn't talked about what we were officially, boyfriends, partners, lovers, but we didn't need to. Not when he kept reaching for my hand under the table during meals. Not when he leaned into me on the couch while we binge-watched old movies, his head on my shoulder like it was the most natural place in the world. Not when he looked at me like he already knew this wasn't going to fade, his blue eyes holding promises of forever. It wasn't just heat anymore, though the passion was still there, simmering under the surface. It was something softer, more profound. The way he brought me coffee without asking, remembering exactly how I liked it, black with a splash of almond milk. The way he rested his chin on my shoulder when I cooked breakfast, his arms around my waist, murmuring compliments about my terrible scrambled eggs. The way he watched me with a kind of focus that made my chest ache, like he was memorizing every detail, the curve of my smile, The way my hair curled at the ends after a shower, the sound of my laugh echoing in our living room. We talked more, too, about his past. The conservative family back home that had made him hide who he was, the string of meaningless hookups with women that left him empty. About my own history, the ex who had broken my trust, the loneliness of city life before he showed up at that roommate interview with his easy grin and packed boxes. We shared dreams. Him wanting to finish his graphic design degree, me pursuing my writing passion. It felt like building something real, brick by brick, and then something happened I didn't see coming. We had people over, a mix of friends from work and the neighborhood, nothing fancy, just laughing, eating takeout pizza, passing around beers on our worn-out couch. It should have been nothing, a casual hangout like we'd had before. But having him across the room, surrounded by people who didn't know about us yet, it made me nervous. My mind raced. Would he pull away? Would he act like nothing had happened between us? Revert to the straight-passing guy he'd been for so long? I sat there in silence, nursing my drink, trying not to want too much, not to expect him to claim me in front of others. And then it happened. One of the guys, our mutual friend Tyler, made a dumb joke about dating, about how Alex could pull anyone he wanted with his charm and good looks. Everyone laughed, the room filling with easy banter, but Alex didn't join in. He looked at me across the crowded living room, not panicked, not scared. He looked at me like he was choosing me, choosing us. And then he said it, his voice clear and steady. Actually, I'm kinda seeing someone. The room went quiet, the laughter dying down as heads turned. Tyler grinned, leaning forward. Oh yeah? Who's the lucky girl? Alex didn't even blink. He held my gaze, a small smile playing on his lips. He's sitting right there. He nodded toward me, calm, soft, proud, like it was the easiest thing in the world to say. Like he wanted them to know what I already knew, that I was his and he was mine. The world stopped for me in that moment. My breath hitched, my heart pounding so loud I thought everyone could hear it. Everyone turned to look at me, a mix of surprise and smiles breaking out. Tyler whistled low. Well, damn. About time, you two. The tension dissolved into congratulations and teasing, but I barely registered it. All I could see was Alex, his eyes shining with relief and affection. After everyone left, the apartment quiet again with just the remnants of pizza boxes and empty bottles. He wrapped his arms around me in the kitchen as I rinsed dishes. You okay? He asked, his chin resting on my shoulder. I nodded, turning off the water and leaning back into him. You didn't have to do that. I know, he said, his hands sliding to my hips. I wanted to. Why now? I asked, turning in his arms to face him. He smiled, that genuine, heart-melting smile that had drawn me in from day one. Because I'm not hiding anymore. Not from them. Not from you. Not from myself. I've spent too long pretending, Ryan. It's real, and I want the world to know. I kissed him slow, deeper than before, pouring all my gratitude and love into it. You have no idea what that meant to me, I whispered against his lips. He pressed his forehead to mine, his hands cupping my face. I think I do, he said, because it meant everything to me, too. That night, we didn't rush. We didn't tease or play games. We just held each other face to face in bed, his fingers brushing my cheek like he was grounding himself there, tracing the lines of my face as if committing them to memory. And in the dark, with only our breathing between us, he whispered one last thing. I want this. I want you, not just now, not just when it's easy. I want to fall asleep like this every night. Wake up beside you. Fight over stupid things, make up with even stupider apologies, laugh until our sides hurt, and grow old and grumpy together. I choked out a laugh as a tear slipped down my cheek, warm and unashamed. I want that too. All of it. We didn't need a label. We didn't need a title or a timeline. We just needed the truth, the raw, beautiful truth that had started with a brush of fingers and grown into something unbreakable. And in that bed, in the safety of his arms, I realized something profound. He may have started out as just a roommate, a stranger with a shared lease, but in the end, he landed right in the center of my heart. And I never wanted him to leave. Not then, not now. Not ever. If this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe to Secret Hearts Unveiled, where raw emotions, hidden passions, and courageous love stories come alive. Because sometimes the love you're afraid to embrace is the one that transforms your entire world.